Good evening. Welcome to a very special NYNJPA weather video discussion on the storm that is going to be impacting the northern Mid-Atlantic Sunday through Monday and Tuesday. Of course, we're talking about Hurricane Sandy transitioning to a subtropical storm and basically pummeling the northern Mid-Atlantic, the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. Let's get to this forecast and let's talk about it. Currently, here we have Hurricane Sandy, a very interesting and dynamic storm system to say the least. It's rapidly starting to transition to a subtropical low pressure structure. I'll explain what that means in just a moment. Here's our cold front and upper level disturbance that is going to be interacting with our hurricane to produce a very dynamic and very dangerous low pressure system and event. So let's take a look at the latest information from Sandy. Now, this is the zoomed up low pressure system as of 11 p.m., should I say. And as you can see, the center is exposed here. And what we are seeing is that a lot of the convection, a lot of the thunderstorms are forming on the northern side and northwestern side of the circulation. Now, what's interesting here is that when we get to go over the latest stats here as 11 p.m., well, Sandy has decreased its winds to 75 miles per hour, but its pressure has dropped to 969 millibars, 2 millibars. So what gives? The wind went down, but the pressure went down too. What that means is that the pressure field is expanding, which is a textbook observation, indication of a tropical system transitioning to a subtropical low pressure system. Textbook situation here, ladies and gentlemen. That is what it means. What it basically means is that the pressure field is expanding. And as the pressure field expands, the winds drop because it's not as intense, it's not as compact, but the expansion of the tropical storm force winds also expands in coverage. So it's not as strong of winds, but the winds that are developing with this low pressure system at 75 miles per hour is far more expansive, and that is a textbook characteristic of a subtropical storm. So as you can see, our low pressure system is clearly developing that type of structure. We have dry air trying to invade from the southwest and from the west. That right there is a result of all the strong lifting that's developing on the northern and northwest side of this low level circulation. So we have extratropical features here and we have tropical features here. That is, again, a textbook feature for a subtropical storm. Taking a look at the radar, why am I showing you this? Because I want to make it clear to everyone, because everyone's zoomed in on, well, where is it going to track? Where is the center going to track? It doesn't matter where the center is going to track. It does matter a little bit, but it doesn't matter as far as how much rain you're going to get or whether you're going to be impacted by this storm, Mr. Mayor of New York. The reason why is because this storm is huge. Look at the radar. This is just the edge of the storm here. It goes from North Carolina all the way down the southeast coast, all the way to the Bahamas. That is a very large storm for a tropical or subtropical storm for that matter. So the point here I'm trying to make is that this is a very large storm, and we're seeing that on the radar right now as we speak as 11:25 p.m. on Friday night. Okay. So let's take a look at my favorite tool of all, the water vapor satellite picture. We see everything with this. Here we have our upper level low, our 50-50 low. This is what blocks up the whole pattern and makes this storm all possible. Once again, you could thank the now deceased Tropical Storm Tony for enhancing the negative NAO pattern, this upper level trough here, that basically prevents anything from exiting out in the Atlantic. It's going to sit here, it's going to spin, and it's going to phase. Meanwhile, here's our strong upper level disturbance associated with the polar jet stream. Very cold air associated behind this cold front here, at least for this time of year. And that is going to start to interact with our tropical low pressure system or subtropical low pressure system, depending on when the National Hurricane Center finally designates it as such. So another thing to point out here is that notice all this dry air here, all this lifting here. What this is an indication of is very strong lifting associated with this low pressure system over the southeast coastal waters, okay? This does not mean that our hurricane or subtropical storm is weakening. In fact, what it means is that it's strengthening. Because if you have more air rising here, you have to have sinking air here, and that's exactly what's happening. What comes up must go down. So, what we have set up this evening is a very strong intensifying low pressure system off of the southeast coast to the north of the Bahamas. We have our upper level disturbance approaching from the west. The phase is on the doorstep. So let's take a look at the latest model guidance. We're going to use the NAM model guidance. Now, to be quite frank, at this point, you really don't need model guidance. I mean, you do, but I mean, you gotta get the point here. Remember a few days ago where I mentioned the block that we're going to need? Well, here's the block. This is what basically sets everything in motion and forces this hurricane to shift towards the North Carolina coastal waters. So here we are at 1 a.m., just a few hours away on the forecast. Here's our storm off of the Florida coast, lifting to the north of the Bahamas. We can all agree it's a very dynamic and very strong storm with plenty of precipitation and plenty of rain. Here is our upper level disturbance that is intensifying and starting to shift into a negatively tilted trough. Again, because of our strong negative NAO pattern in place. Jumping ahead to Saturday afternoon, for the most part we're dry. We're under the influence of high pressure still hanging about here. You can see the dry air in place. We really don't have any threat as far as rainfall tomorrow, but we will see a slow and steady increase in the winds as that pressure gradient starts to increase from south to north. So Saturday, tomorrow is pretty much just a break. It's really not anything significantly going on, but we will be watching the development of our storm. Moving into Saturday night, this is where it starts to get interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Our storm starts to move up towards the North Carolina coast. We start to see a slow interaction in the 500 millibar pattern between our hurricane or subtropical storm at this point and our trough. Now notice the pressure at this point is basically around 970 millibars. Wherever you're right now, 969. So really the storm is expected to maintain its strength at this point. Heading into Saturday, early Sunday morning, should I say. Here we are Saturday night. Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, jump into Sunday morning. What do we have setting up here? Well, we have a negatively tilted trough starting to interact with this subtropical storm. And this subtropical storm is really starting to intensify now. Pressure's falling below 969 millibars, probably around 965, maybe 964 at this point. Plenty of moisture with this storm as well. We start to see the rainfall slowly starting to develop along the east coast. Again, we have our cold front here, our tropical system or subtropical system here. By the time we head into Sunday afternoon, we start to get a focus of lifting along the coast. This is more having to do with the increasing pressure gradient, thermal gradient, should I say, along the east coast because of the tropical air mass that is set up over the east coast and the more polar air mass invading from the west. So that thermal gradient starts to enhance because we have a cold front actually approaching. As that cold front starts to collapse, we're still going to be seeing an increase in showers developing over the northern mid-Atlantic on Sunday afternoon. By Sunday evening, that rainfall expands and becomes heavy from basically New York City on south through Virginia. If you're in Connecticut and Long Island, don't be fooled. There will be scattered showers, but it won't be as heavy. It won't be as widespread, obviously, because it's scattered, as the bulk of the lifting is going to be focused over the southern mid-Atlantic and also off of the mid-Atlantic coast at this point on Sunday evening. As we move forward towards Sunday, early Monday morning, should I say, the phase begins. And when that phase begins, you can see two upper level lows still in place here. The very intense ones with our subtropical low pressure center. Look at our low pressure system explode off of the Virginia and Delmarva coastal waters. Very heavy precipitation developing from New York City on south. Very heavy rain over southern and central New Jersey. Again, the model guide is just trying to suggest that we're going to see a break over portions of Connecticut and Long Island on early Monday morning at 1 a.m. Don't buy into it. There will be scattered showers around. It just won't be as heavy or as widespread. The winds, meanwhile, are really going to start to pick up. but we are just starting with this storm. By Monday morning, a full phase has developed. Our upper level low has developed over the New Jersey and mid-Atlantic coastal waters. Our low pressure system explodes down to 959 millibars. This low pressure system is going to eventually deepen, potentially down to 950 millibars. That is incredibly strong for this type of storm. So we have that starting to develop. We have very heavy precipitation developing along the New Jersey coast. And by Monday, let me jump ahead here, Monday evening, that low pressure system slams into the New Jersey coast. Look at this lifting developing throughout the northern mid-Atlantic. Very heavy rainfall, very strong winds. Basically, the heart of this storm is from Monday afternoon all the way on through Tuesday morning as our low pressure system retrogrades back towards basically central Pennsylvania. While that's happening, cold air is going to wrap around. Keep an eye on the potential for some of the snow to mix in with the rain on Tuesday morning as this cold air is wrapping around, even for Philadelphia and New York City. No accumulation, but definitely the potential because we have all this rising air. That rising is going to cool the atmosphere. We have cold air invading from the west. Don't be surprised to see a little bit of snow mixed in with this storm as it's exiting. So to wrap things up, what can we expect? Very heavy rainfall throughout the entire region. The heaviest rainfall from New York City on south. We're looking at least 5 inches of rain, potentially up to a foot of rain in some locations. Look for very strong winds throughout the entire northern mid-Atlantic with sustained winds of 50 miles per hour, gusts over 60 miles per hour, perhaps even over 100 miles per hour at some time. Also, be on the lookout for coastal flooding. There's going to be a storm surge anywhere from 6 to 10 feet with waves above that anywhere from 10 to 20 feet, producing significant coastal flooding, significant damage. Keep an eye on that. That's going to get pretty nasty as well. This storm is dangerous and needs to be taken seriously, ladies and gentlemen, and it's only going to get worse before it gets any better. So stay tuned to the latest information from NYNJPA Weather, a Storm Surge LLC group. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Steven DiMartino. Stay safe out there. Seriously.